Chargers Now is presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Will Ortner, and producer Searle and I are back. And if we're back, that means there's breaking news today. Already pushed out our first video. Thank you guys for all checking out Mel Kiper and his draft grades. That video is booming. Chargers, they are exercising Quentin Johnston's fifth-year option. Big deal for the team, and I'm going to tell you why. But, of course, this is why you subscribe. You never want to miss any Chargers breaking news. We are going to have a video out here on the channel for you. We got the short form video out first. Now producer Searle and myself, we are back. This is why you subscribe. You don't want to miss out on any of these types of news stories. All right, so Chris Rim kind of went into detail a little bit greater than Ian Rappaport on what this all means. Now, Johnston's going to be getting his fifth-year option picked up. That means he's going to get $18.1 million in the year of 2027. So this will not affect next year's money. That's still slotted in. This is going to affect the year after's money. So let's talk about Quentin Johnston and how he fits on this team. Obviously, last year had a lot of success in the red zone, got a lot of touchdowns. Now, the targets and reception numbers, I would like to be a little bit higher for Johnston. Same thing with his yardage numbers. The fact that he hasn't had over 1,000 yards yet is a bit worrisome. But to sit here and say that last year was not good for Quentin Johnston, I think would be incorrect. And I think that he's only going to continue to grow as a football player. Now, for me personally, I like this move. And I think there's a lot of reasons why to like this move for the Chargers. I'm not going to sit here and say that I love it. Because I don't think that Quentin Johnston has deserved, I would say, anywhere near the amount of love and attention that someone like Jackson Smith-Njigba might get, a wide receiver that's in the same draft class as him. But I also believe that Johnston has done more than enough to earn a lot of our appreciation and to earn a fifth-year option pickup by the Chargers. Now, he was someone that was going to be close. Could he potentially get picked up? Could he potentially not get picked up? I think it was a smart decision by the Chargers to pick him up, and I'm going to explain in great detail here, but I got to let you know that today's show is, of course, made possible by our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's the best place to win cash while watching sports. With playoff basketball finally here, there's no better time to cash in than with our friends at PrizePicks, and I'll tell you this, the app, it's so easy to use. To qualify for a PrizePicks lineup, just pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. If you're more of a baseball guy, you can choose stats such as hits, home runs, and strikeouts. With the new social feeds feature, you can share prize picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. That, of course, includes myself and producer Searle. You follow us on Prize Picks, and you get the picks before they're even posted on the show. I have a lineup for the football action later on this year. Fernando Mendoza, less on his regular season starts. I have Jeremiah Love less on his rush yards and Jordan Tyson more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with PrizePicks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description of today's video. Why I like this deal. One, I think Quentin Johnston is a good player. Let's just call it a spade here. This is first and foremost and going to be the most important thing. Is someone worthy of being on the football team for my ball club? And when I look at Quentin Johnston right now, I mean, shoot, for 3 years in the National Football League, that's not half bad. Now, as a first-round pick, you would like him to have more and better stats than he's had, just under 2,000 yards receiving over 3 years. You'd like it to be closer to that 3,000 mark. He gets a high yards per catch average, and I would say that his receptions are going up every single year, and his yards are going up every single year. Now, obviously, there are some missed games that you wish weren't there, but in my opinion, I think that the Chargers get more and more out of Quentin Johnston every single season. And at the end of the day, that is going to be what's most important for this ball club. You are trying to build a strong and successful franchise. How do you do that? You get players that get better year after year. Is Quentin Johnston what he was supposed to be out of TCU? No, not necessarily. Is he better than a lot of other options? Yes, and that is important to note. Grade the Quentin Johnston extension down below in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what your personal opinion is. I think that the Chargers picking up the fifth-year option is a good thing. To me, this is probably a B-plus move. This is a move that the Chargers needed to make, and I think it was the right one to make. Now, let's go into another reason why the Chargers made this decision. There's no real wide receiver on the roster like him right now. As we go through the depth chart after the draft, and thankfully we were already getting ready to show you what the projected depth chart was going to be, I look at this team and I'm very excited for what the wide receiver room has. You got a lot of guys with speed. You got a lot of guys that are going to be able to get open. But what you don't have are a lot of guys with height. I like Trey Harris. I like Latin McConkey. I like Brennan Thompson. None of them are tall. None of them are tall. None of them are going to be able in the red zone to go and catch a 50-50 ball that is high pointed to them. You're going to have to find different ways to win in the red zone, unless you look at Quentin Johnston. He is a tall, big-bodied, strong wide receiver. Now, maybe I'm a bit bold by saying that the Chargers need him badly. Maybe they don't need him badly. But to sit here and say that the Chargers don't need him, well, that's just simply incorrect. This Chargers football team needs a tall, strong wide receiver. And Johnston's still got some speed to boot, so there's an opportunity for them to use him as a speedy downfield wide receiver threat. There's still a lot of opportunities to use him and use him in a successful manner. Let's talk about the cost of Quentin Johnston. He's relatively cheap. Now, obviously, you look at that $18.1 million that he's going to be due, and you go, well, I don't know that Quentin Johnston is worth that amount of money. It's also important to mention that when you look at Quentin Johnston, he's nowhere near the top 10 paid wide receivers. I couldn't go in there with a double negative. When you look at the top paid wide receivers in the National Football League, he's nowhere near that mark. Now, he's not nearly worth that price, but it is important to mention that there is no reason for the Chargers to be worried about paying him that top dollar. He's not demanding it. And when you look at what the Chargers are doing here, they're getting a wide receiver that they need at a relatively cheap price. He's getting paid a little over half of what the top, or the 10th guy, I should say, is getting paid. That seems about right for Quentin Johnston, man. There's a lot of wide receivers in the National Football League that are around a similar production value as he is, and they're making about what that fifth-year option is going to make. And when you really extend it out and you divide the next 2 years of what he's making, it's a really cheap price for what you're getting. So I don't have an issue with the Chargers picking up that fifth-year extension. Lastly, let's get some more time to evaluate the kid. I told you that he's getting better every single year. That's important. And what the Chargers have now done is they've said, hey, we're going to give ourselves 2 years to decide if Quentin Johnston is worth getting a second contract in the National Football League. But more importantly, you're finding out if he fits into Mike McDaniel's system. Mike McDaniel hasn't really had a big, tall wide receiver quite like Johnston. He's had a little bit more success with smaller-bodied wide receivers. That doesn't mean that he can't have success with Johnston, but right now, that's just kind of where this team is at. So in my personal opinion, I think that you are starting to see a player that is growing into his own. You're going to get to see if he fits in the new offensive coordinator scheme system, how he wants to play. And I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is he doesn't cost all that much. So yeah, I like the deal. Let's see if over the next 2 years, Quentin Johnston can turn into a 1,000-yard wide receiver. What is your one-word reaction to the Quentin Johnston news? Let me know down below in the comment section. Very interested in hearing what you have to say on QJ and if you like this move. In my personal opinion, I thought it was smart. As soon as it came through, the great Trace Moustakis said, hey, Ortner, Chargers news. And I said, ooh, what is it? And he said, Quentin Johnston, fifth-year extension here in the Chat Sports Studios. And I said, nice, smart. And I agree. I think it's a smart decision. Let's see what you have. Quentin Johnston is a solid wide receiver in the National Football League, and I think there's room for him to grow into being a really good wide receiver, even a 1 in the National Football League. So it's smart. Let's sign him, and let's see what he can do over the next 2 years. This is why you subscribe to the channel. The minute there was breaking news, it's like a well-oiled machine over here at Chargers Now. Cyril started making up our graphics. I started scripting. and we got a video out to you as fast as humanly possible. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Bolt up.